Tonight on NewsWatch, the soaring cost of gas and why it could reach $5 a gallon. Plus, what schools are doing to recruit the fastest growing demographic in America. And how the church is helping bring an African nation back from the brink of chaos. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening, I'm Jennifer Wishon. As the world ushers in the new year, authorities are working to make sure Times Square is secure from a terrorist attack. Times Square has been on edge every year since 9/11, but especially this year with an attempted terrorist attack taking place there in May. CBN News senior correspondent Paul Strand has the story.
Thousands of police will be deployed tonight to watch over the million or so people expected to crush into Times Square for the annual ball drop at midnight. There's no specific threat, but this is the first big public event in Times Square since convicted terrorist Faisal Shahzad tried to detonate a car bomb there May 1st. Some 500 new security cameras will be scrutinizing the crowd, along with police towers and a high-tech command center.
They're always looking for suspicious activity with people, suspicious behavior, people that are not cooperative with them. Especially on New Year's Eve, you would be cooperative. If you're going to go, you're going to be cooperative. And so they're always looking for that. They're looking for things that just don't seem right.
Hundreds of radiation detectors will be dispersed throughout the area, along with devices that can detect biological contaminants. The crowds will be shepherded into closely scrutinized pens, and backpacks and big bags are banned in those. New York's attitude is you can never be too cautious. 6 terrorist plots to attack the city have now been foiled since 9/11. And it's well known terrorists like to hit areas where they can kill as many people at once as possible.
We have really been intensely watching New Year's Eve at Times Square, almost with a anticipation of something happening because it does have such a high profile all over the world.
The city sets up 17 miles of barricades and numerous security entrance points hours before the event and has uniformed police standing every few yards across the entire Times Square area. Paul Strand, CBN News.
A new round of attacks on Iraqi Christians have many of them planning to flee their homeland. One priest says there have been at least 12 acts of violence, including a cluster of 10 bombings on Christian homes. No one has claimed responsibility yet, but an Islamic extremist group with ties to al-Qaeda has threatened more attacks. Those threats came after 60 Iraqi Christians were killed in October when the terrorist attacked their church. One Christian in Iraq's parliament blamed security forces for not taking threats against Christians more seriously. Back in the U.S., a Florida sheriff's bid to get tough with local inmates has landed him in trouble with an atheist group.
The Polk County Sheriff decided to send a message to those jailed in the local lockup.
You don't come to jail to play basketball. You don't come to jail to have a good time.
So Sheriff Judd played Santa Claus with the jail's basketball hoops, having them dug up and moved to the property of 8 certifiable nonprofits. But they all happen to be local churches. If he was Santa Claus, then Ellen Beth Walks is his Grinch.
He played Santa Claus with county property. He had no business doing that.
Her group, Atheists of Florida, is willing to take this to court as a separation of church and state issue.
Everyone who is designated to get a basketball court is a Christian church. And that is absolutely unconstitutional under both the U.S. Constitution and the Florida Constitution.
The atheists now want Polk County to spend more money digging up their hoops again and moving them to parks, schools, or anywhere else that doesn't have a religious connection.
When it comes to support for a Republican presidential candidate in 2012, Mike Huckabee gets more support than any other well-known Republican. 67% of Republicans in a new CNN poll say they're very or somewhat likely to back the former Arkansas governor and preacher for president. 59% say they could go for former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich gets support from 54%. And maybe most surprising, when it comes to Sarah Palin, only 49% of Republicans say they're very or somewhat likely to back a presidential bid by her. 78% of Democrats think Barack Obama should be their candidate again in 2012. Just 19% say they believe the party should nominate another Democrat. Now, a startling prediction about gas prices. You could end up paying $5 a gallon by next year. And for many drivers, that's way out of their budget. Lori Johnson has that story.
Earlier this week, the former president of Shell Oil predicted much higher gas prices.
By November 2012, if we stay on the path that we're on, just in time for the presidential election, American voters will be paying $5 a gallon for gasoline.
But the fact that it's soaring right now is already causing dismay.
This is sort of unprecedented in the U.S. to see a spike at this time of the year.
Gas leaping to more than $3 a gallon puts it 76% higher than just 2 years ago.
We're turning the rental car in early and switching to taxis and the metro for the rest of the visit.
I think I'm just gonna bring my bicycle around. Hurts a lot. Pocket.
There are signs right now of economic recovery and the much-needed return of robust consumer spending, but persistently higher gas prices could kill that.
It's almost like a Prozac for the country. When gas prices are low, people tend to feel better about the economy. They feel more mobile. They feel they have more additional income to spend on other things.
Signs aren't good for gas prices falling anytime soon. The supply isn't going up, but the demand is by many billions of gallons. Tens of millions of new cars in booming Asia are adding more and more permanent sources of gas guzzling.
It's like we're watching a hurricane coming at us and just standing there doing nothing about it.
In other news, winter weather isn't letting up for much of the U.S. as several states across the nation's midsection usher in the new year with snow, ice, and rain. Whiteout conditions are making drivers used to driving in harsh weather lose control. It caused a 100-car pileup on Interstate 94 near Fargo, North Dakota. Snowfall continues across Colorado, Nebraska, and Wyoming as well. Forecasters say the storm will move into the Upper Plains and Mississippi Valley today. 200,000 people in Australia are facing floodwaters, covering an area larger than France and Germany combined. Military aircraft are dropping supplies to towns cut off by the floods, and residents are stocking up on food or evacuating their homes. The floods began last week after heavy rains caused rivers to overflow. Operation Blessing is working to reach the poorest communities in Peru, and one way they're doing it is giving new pairs of shoes to children for Christmas. More than 14,000 pairs of shoes were handed out in just 3 communities. One of the children who received a new pair of shoes was 9-year-old Sandra. She says she's grateful because she will finally be able to play with her classmates at school without rocks and sand hurting her feet. In many parts of the world, a physical disability can literally make a person a prisoner in their own home. Gary Lane takes us to the southern Philippines, where a special outreach by Operation Blessing is helping the handicapped find not only support, but salvation as well.
Armed conflict and kidnapping are rampant in the southern Philippines. Nevertheless, Grace Pingoy and her husband, Dr. Jerty, have dedicated their lives to help alleviate poverty in the mostly Muslim communities. In their 30 years as volunteers for a medical mission, they discovered time and again the need for one item that could change people's lives.
We've seen a lot of people, crawling and not being able to walk. So what we did was we looked for friends who had wheelchairs that were no longer being used.
Dr. Jerty tirelessly looked for second-hand wheelchairs to give to those who needed them. Unfortunately, he died of a heart attack in 2008, right after delivering one of his chairs. His many patients who still needed wheelchairs thought their hopes had died with Dr. Jerty. But the doctor's dream lived on in the heart of his wife, Grace.
Amen.
When she learned about Operation Blessing's wheelchair distribution project, she immediately asked the Christian organization to help supply wheelchairs for her neighbors.
These are not your typical wheelchairs, not like ones that you'd find people using in the city. They're specially equipped with these tires. They're very similar to what you'd find on a mountain bike. And that means the recipients can more easily maneuver around the rugged terrain where they live, and that's made a big difference in their lives.
People like Jesus Hubiera, who lost the use of his legs at age 7 when he contracted polio. Jesus is now 70 and has spent most of his life confined in his small hut.
I feel sad for my brother. He always wanted to go out and see places, but he cannot do it with his improvised wheelchair that he himself made. He had no choice but to be confined in his small hut.
And so when Operation Blessing gave away wheelchairs, Marina made sure she got one for her brother. Jesus was delighted with Marina's surprise for him. But he also received a more important gift, salvation through Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you to all the people who helped us.
I'm so thankful that Operation Blessing gave us this opportunity to work with them. When things happen like that in communities, you transform communities. They see the love of God, through that wheelchair. And it's rolling and it goes around. So that way, God's message rolls. And for me, that's one way of transforming communities through transformed lives. And it only takes a wheelchair.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
If you're not planning to make any New Year's resolutions this year, you've got company. A new Marist poll shows 56% of Americans don't think they'll make one. Among those who might make resolutions, 17% want to quit smoking, another 16% want to lose weight, and 13% hope to spend less and save more. Coming up, they're the fastest growing demographic in America, just not on college campuses. Now some top schools are trying to recruit Latinos.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
These are the greatest stories ever told. Presented by Academy Award winner Charlton Heston.
Thus saith the Lord of Israel, let my people go.
Join Charlton Heston as he travels the sacred lands of the Bible.
I'm going to take you with me on a journey exploring the stories in the Bible and the ancient land where they happened. This is said to be the very garden. This, the very rock where Jesus prayed for strength.
Now the Bible comes to life like never before. Time Life presents Charlton Heston's The Bible.
And Moses cast the tablets from his hands.
Praised by critics, this landmark TV series is now available on digitally remastered DVDs. You'll be inspired by the greatest stories from the Old and New Testaments, enhanced by historic works of art. Get Charlton Heston Presents the Bible on 4 DVDs for $49.99. Call with your credit card and save $10.
And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
And that's not all. You'll also get a free bonus DVD that takes you behind the scenes. And if you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll ship for free. That's an additional savings of nearly $7.
For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever.
Call now to get Charlton Heston's The Bible on 5 DVDs for just $39.99. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll ship for free.
Now therefore go, and I will be with thee.
Call 1-800-748-5167 to order Charlton Heston Presents the Bible for $39.99 and receive free shipping when you call in the next 10 minutes with your credit card.
The Latino population in the U.S. is exploding, but leaders say their students are falling behind when it comes to college. Now, Christian colleges are organizing to meet that need and reach out to students who may feel more comfortable at home in those schools than anywhere else. Heather Sells has the story.
They're a demographic that can no longer be ignored. 47 million Hispanics live in the U.S. right now. By the year 2050, there will be 100 million, almost a quarter of the U.S. population.
When we see that demographic growing so rapidly, we know it will change the face of America.
But look around most college campuses, and you won't see Latinos in force. That's because just 1/3 of college-aged Hispanics attend school, compared to 42% of all young adults.
There are many asking, how can we trust the future of our nation to a degree, this large demographic, to a community that has issues of education?
Educating this massive group has hit the Christian College radar screen in what many believe is a historic way. This fall, Regent University and the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference invited Christian college administrators for a Hispanic summit. The goal, find the best ways to recruit these students.
We're wanting to invest now for the future.
Guajardo and others at the summit said it's not just the numbers that are driving them, it's also about core Christian beliefs.
It's about expanding God's kingdom and about the way in which we see God's kingdom reflected in a variety of different church traditions, a variety of ethnicities.
This is a mission. This isn't just about demographics.
But this big vision has a big problem. In a recent Pew survey, 9 in 10 Latinos said getting a college education is important, but less than half actually plan to get a degree. Cristina Davila is fighting the odds. She chose Regent University because she wanted a Christian school, but her single mom is unable to help financially. So far, Davila is making it thanks to her part-time job and mix of loans and grants. For most Hispanics, the main problem is financial pressure, and it can end up making them cut their education short.
It's a mindset, and I think that's a critical piece, is establishing early on that you will be attending college. It is accessible, it's affordable, and it's part of your future.
One advantage Christian colleges want to promote is a faith-based learning environment that values both tradition and home. Another plus Christian colleges want to take further, synergy with the church.
We're activating 30,000 churches to address the issue of high school graduation and college enrollment from the bully pulpit.
Christian colleges say they're looking at ways to reach out to Hispanic families as part of the recruitment process. One model, Oral Roberts University's new Hispanic Center, which provides a gathering place for students and families.
Latino students will come to a Christian campus and they'll look at the programs and they'll say, I don't see how my ancestry, who I am as a person, how is that being celebrated here?
The end goal for Christian colleges, find ways to educate this vast population, students like Christina, so that they can give back and make an impact on their generation for Christ.
I feel like I'm actually growing in every sense of the word, so however hard I have to work, it's completely worth it.
This is the absolute right thing to do, because if we're not recruiting those students today, we're going to miss a generation of students, and that impact on America will be profound and long-lasting.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, an African nation is coming back from the brink of chaos. We'll tell you about the role the church is playing in Zimbabwe's resurrection.
Hi, Anthony Sullivan here for ShaveMate. All-in-one razors, Titan for men, Diva for women. Simplify your shaving, simplify your life. ShaveMate razors combine 6 premium blades and thick, rich, real shaving cream right inside the handle. So you'll never have to deal with the mess of cans of shaving cream again. ShaveMate is the perfect shaving solution for home, the gym, a business trip, or vacation.
It's everything in this one little package. It's perfect.
You get a great shave every time. I think it's going to change the way everybody shaves.
Order right now, and I won't just double the value, I'll triple it, absolutely free. We'll even include our convenient shower hook. You get a total of 3 shave mates in your choice of Titan or Diva, and the shower hook, all for only $9.99. Here's how to order.
Order now. Call 1-800-655-8514 or go to shavemate.com. That's 1-800-655-8514 or go to shavemate.com.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now, and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs, and they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
And if you call 1-800-284-9762, we will send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
Zimbabwe used to be one of the most unstable countries in Africa. Political violence left hundreds dead and divided the nation. But now it has a new government, and it's working on a new constitution with Christians laying the groundwork. George Thomas reports from Zimbabwe.
The dignitaries are seated, the foreign diplomats are in place, the press corps make their final checks. The band leader gets his cue. And seconds later, from a side door, the president, prime minister, heads of cabinet, members of parliament, and other high-ranking government officials file in. This is a big moment for Zimbabwe. The African nation is launching a 3-month outreach to get the views of ordinary Zimbabwean citizens on the writing of a new constitution. Sitting in the audience is Alex Chisango. He's a little nervous. This is also a big day for him. He takes one final look at his notes. Moments later, he's on stage delivering the opening prayer, standing next to the president and prime minister.
We pray, Lord, that out of that product, the sons and the daughters of Zimbabwe will have a reason to praise and to glorify your name.
Alex Chisango is on a mission to mobilize Zimbabwean Christians to get involved in the drafting of the country's constitution.
This is really one of the greatest windows of opportunity.
Chisango is chairman of the African Center for Law and Justice, an international branch of the American Center for Law and Justice. Recently, a team from America joined Chisango in Zimbabwe to discuss the Constitution with top government officials.
This unity government did open the window for us and groups like the ACLJ to be here, to be involved in the Constitution process.
But writing a new constitution is not going to be easy. Zimbabwe has had its share of economic and political upheaval. The economy is stabilizing after years of rampant inflation, but unemployment remains at a staggering 90%. And the two political parties that share power in government are often at odds with each other, resulting in a nation that's deeply divided. So Chisango is teaming up with local church leaders to lay the foundation for what he says is much-needed healing and reconciliation in Zimbabwe.
My message is the message that Christ, gave to the church when he said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God."
Shengi Munyeza is one of those peacemakers. He's a successful Christian businessman who owns numerous hotel chains throughout Africa. He regularly networks with other businessmen and women, sharing about the power of forgiveness.
That's where the faith comes in to bring God's healing upon a nation.
The latest statistics show that close to 80% of those in this country call themselves Christians. And so those who are leading the reconciliation and healing efforts are hoping to use those statistics to help rebuild this nation.
We are ultimately the answer.
A sentiment echoed by Zimbabwe's prime minister during a meeting with both the American and African Centers for Law and Justice.
You can't have healing without the church playing a very moral role, a leading role. I think it will be a misplacement of priorities to play the church as a political organization rather than as a spiritual organization.
To improve the country's image, the African Center for Law and Justice is sponsoring a countrywide cleanup campaign to rid the streets of trash. On a recent Saturday morning, dozens of local churches, aid groups, and government agencies joined in the initiative. Joshua Chiwenda coordinated the cleanup effort. He's been talking with churches about doing more for the rebuilding of Zimbabwe.
Christianity is not just people going to church, but it is a way of life which must be seen and must be a reflection of their daily practices.
As Zimbabwe prepares to write a new constitution, Chisango and others are busy laying the spiritual foundations for what they hope will one day be a model nation of reconciliation and healing.
We believe that Zimbabwe ultimately will be a nation that will forgive.
George Thomas, CBN News, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Up next, why a group of horses and volunteers are taking people on a ride.
Finding video on CBN.com just got easier. We've taken all our video, the 700 Club, news, testimonies, teachings, plus our 24/7 channels, and put them in one convenient location, CBN TV. Watch what you want, when you want. It's all simple to find, and now easier than ever to email a story to a friend. CBN TV on CBN.com.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
These are the greatest stories ever told. Presented by Academy Award winner Charlton Heston.
Thus saith the Lord of Israel, let my people go.
Join Charlton Heston as he travels the sacred lands of the Bible.
I'm going to take you with me on a journey exploring the stories in the Bible and the ancient land where they happened. This is said to be the very garden. This, the very rock where Jesus prayed for strength.
Now the Bible comes to life like never before. Time Life presents Charlton Heston's The Bible.
And Moses cast the tablets from his hands.
Praised by critics, this landmark TV series is now available on digitally remastered DVDs. You'll be inspired by the greatest stories from the Old and New Testaments, enhanced by historic works of art. Get Charlton Heston Presents the Bible on 4 DVDs for $49.99. Call with your credit card and save $10.
And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
And that's not all. You'll also get a free bonus DVD that takes you behind the scenes. And if you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll ship for free. That's an additional savings of nearly $7.
For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever.
Call now to get Charlton Heston's The Bible on 5 DVDs for just $39.99. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll ship for free.
Now therefore go, and I will be with thee.
Call 1-800-748-5167 to order Charlton Heston Presents the Bible for $39.99 and receive free shipping when you call in the next 10 minutes with your credit card.
An organization in Texas is using therapeutic horseback riding to help improve the quality of life for people with disabilities. The Sire Therapeutic Riding Facility helps disabled riders from 3 to 85 years old. Therapists guide the riders while they work on upper body strength, balance, and coordination.
The stimulation from the horse actually stimulates all the muscles in the body and the organs in the body the same way we would if we were walking a lot. So we get huge results from the movement of the horse.
You'll see kids who can't sit up straight in a chair that can sit up straight on horseback.
Helps you walk better.
People with all kinds of disabilities, mostly children, but we do have adults with all kinds of disabilities, everything from autism to cerebral palsy to brain trauma. We even ride some disabled veterans.
The idea of therapy on horseback dates back to the Roman times. Wounded soldiers were put on horses to help them recover more quickly. And that's all for this edition of NewsWatch. You can find information on all the stories you've seen here at CBNNews.com. You can also stay up to date with CBN News through Facebook and Twitter. We welcome your email comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. We hope you'll join us next time. Until then, from all of us here at CBN News, Happy New Year.